Hi guys, what we're going to run through with you today is just a question kind of we get asked, or that comes up in kind of the whole coaching process around people wanting to look a particular way. So somebody wants to look toned, athletic, fit, lean. There's a lot of different terms people use to kind of describe what is often the same thing. So I suppose first and foremost, it's a very subjective thing, okay? One person's fit is another person's fat, and that kind of is very, very true. Everyone will have a different standard for this, but let's kind of run you through kind of a general template of it so that you can kind of have an idea of kind of what stuff you might want to be aiming for if this is something you're kind of looking to do. So the first, or one of the most important things with this is having an objective measurement that you can use, okay? Rather than working off subjective things. It's like what you see in the mirror, how you feel on an emotional level about your physique, and all of those things. They're useful, but they can often be very, very misleading, okay? And they can kind of lead people down a different path because they've had a bad day, a bad week, or a bad month, and they just don't particularly feel great about what they're seeing in the mirror. That doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't making progress, so that's why we would encourage kind of objective kind of measurement stuff. So initially what you suppose you want to be looking at is your current strength levels, okay, relative to your body weight, okay? For boys, we would recommend, these are just recommendations, okay, and we know this is the internet and people can sometimes kind of get really, really bothered by this kind of stuff, but it's to give you something to aim for. We'd like to see you being able to back squat 1.5 times your body weight, okay? It has to be, you know, a very well done back squat. It's not some kind of, you know, hoofing weight around and hoping that your back and your knees hold up. So it's going to be a really, really nice back squat with 1.5 times your body weight. And then the other thing we would look at is ideally that you're able to do kind of 10 strict pull-ups, okay? And there's a load of other stuff in there that we can put in, but for the purpose of the video, this should kind of give us an idea. From a girl's point of view, we'll be looking at that you're able to back squat your body weight, okay? And we'd like to see you be able to do 5 chin-ups, okay? And again, there's lots of other things you can look at and other things you could add in, but this is just to give you a loose idea. The next thing you then want to look at is your body composition, okay? Because you can be very, very strong, okay? So you could have a guy who's got a double body weight back squat, okay? And he can do 15 or 18 strict pull-ups, but he may not necessarily look kind of very lean or athletic or toned, depending on the person who's looking at him. And the same for a girl. So, you know, you can be really, really strong, but you may not necessarily look particularly strong because you have too much fat sitting on top of it, okay? So something to aim for there would be, for boys, you're in and around about 12% body fat, okay? And for girls, you're in and around about 20% body fat, okay? Now understand, with stuff like this and targets like these, you know, there's some real trade-offs attached to doing that in terms of how you live your life, kind of how you manage your food, your sleep, your stress, and all of those things. But that's a whole other kind of conversation. Really what we're looking to do is just give you some kind of numbers that you can kind of aim for and stuff that you can kind of work towards. Now, I suppose important to bring this up, the whole idea of kind of, well, I've seen so-and-so on Instagram or YouTube or kind of whatever it is, and they look like X, Y, and Z. With stuff like that, because we see people doing these comparisons or hear people making these comparisons, a lot of the time somebody you're seeing or following on Instagram who looks a particular way, that's their job, okay? That's one of the kind of key parts of kind of what they do, and particularly if they're on that kind of a platform, okay, and spend a lot of time with not a lot of clothes on. The other thing you want to be kind of mindful of is stuff like lighting, okay, filters, their hydration level. Are they pumped up? Do they take the photo, you know, after a kind of a particularly heavy or intensive kind of workout? And then all the way up to kind of, are they using Photoshop? Okay, now for the video stuff, it doesn't really work. But for that, you know, if you're going to look and compare yourself to somebody like that, do bear that in mind. The other one I would kind of encourage you to think about, if you are going to go down the route of comparing your physique to somebody else that you're seeing kind of on the internet, or kind of locally, is compare what you're doing on a day-to-day basis to what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, okay? You may find that if you follow them around for 6, 8, 10 or 12 weeks and did what they did, you may not enjoy it, first and foremost, and secondly, you may get your eyes opened to just how much work is involved and just how much preparation is involved. If you've got any questions on this, please pop them in the comments below and we will get them answered for you. Thanks.